Hi again, all my crafty friends. Today I'm participating in the What Would You Make collaboration, hosted by Dana from OK at Home DIY and Marsha from Marsha's Mush and Stuff. Links to both their channels and the playlist are in the description below. Now for our first DIY. Believe it or not, I have had this 17-inch wood round in my stash for almost a year. I picked it up when I first started my channel and never got around to using it until today. With the 4th of July right around the corner, I wanted to make something for my front door. I used Waverly plaster chalk paint and painted the entire front of the board. Dried it with my hot air gun. Sanded it and wiped it down with a baby wipe to remove all the sand dust. And added a second coat of paint. I wanted a smooth, solid surface for the round. I actually considered burning the wood like Sammy at Unicorn Dust Designs did on a recent wood round she created. But I finally decided just to paint it. I created the cut file in Design Space, and I'll leave a link in the description for any Cricut user who may want to try this project at home. Just remember, you'll need to size it down to fit your round. This cut file was so large, I had to break it down into sections. I eyeballed the center and applied the bottom section first. I then did the same with the top section. And then I applied the center portion and the stars. Perfect. I couldn't believe how good it looked. Since my round had a rough edge and not finished, I used some rope I had in my stash and hot glued it to the edge. I made 3 rounds to completely cover the edge of the wood round. If you like the videos I make, consider buying me a coffee. This will help me continue putting out DIY videos for you. All the information is in the description below. Even though I used permanent vinyl, I wanted to make sure everything stuck well. I used my iron and a tea towel doubled up. I ran my iron around the sign. This is not a required step for this project, it's just something I have always done with my wood and other textured surfaces when I apply the vinyl. Next, I applied a layer of Mod Podge to protect this beauty. This sign turned out so high-end looking, you would never know that it was handmade. I attached 2 D-hooks to the back of the sign and attached the same rope I used around the edges by looping the rope through the D-rings and applying hot glue to hold it. I love it. Let me know in the comments what you think of this patriotic wood sign. I can't wait to hang it on my front door. Now for DIY number 2. I got this board a while back in a Facebook Marketplace craft bundle I purchased. It actually got shoved to the bottom of a box, and that's the only reason I haven't used it before now. It was a gray stain, and I wanted a white color, so I used my trusty Waverly Wax plaster chalk paint and painted my masterpiece. I am just about out of this paint, so I think it's time to get some more. I was actually having to pull paint out of the bottom of this bottle. After the paint was dry, I used a Dollar Tree emery board to distress the sign. I used it around the edges and in the creases of the board. I then used a Dollar Tree sanding block over the entire piece. I cleaned the wood with rubbing alcohol and a paper towel to remove all the sand dust. I use rubbing alcohol because it evaporates quickly, which means I don't have to wait for it to dry like I would if I used a wet wipe or water. I used my Cricut and sized this free cut file from Design Bundles to fit on the wood piece. I removed the vinyl from the transfer tape and applied it to the sign. I used a Dollar Tree scoring tool to make sure the design actually went down into the lines on the wood by simply rubbing the vinyl down with the scoring tool. Next, I used my iron to set the vinyl. I have had a lot of questions about this. I use Oracle 651 permanent vinyl, and I do this to give my signs more of a hand-painted look. The heat helps the vinyl to melt into all the cracks and crevices of the wood. You just have to be careful not to get the vinyl too hot, or it will melt and stick to the cloth, and in some cases even pull up from your project. I never leave my iron in the same spot, and I don't let the vinyl get too hot. I check the vinyl constantly while I do this. This step is not required, it's just something I like to do when I put vinyl on wood or really anything that has a texture. I flipped the sign over and added some twine to the back so it could be hung up. I thought the sign still needed something, so I decided to try a messy bow. If you have been following any amount of time, you know I can't make a decent bow to save my life. I've been watching videos and doing them on the side so no one can see how bad I really am at them. But I think I have the messy bow down well enough to try it on camera. Once I had the bow created, I attached it to the wood with hot glue. And just look at how adorable this hen house sign turned out. Let me know in the comments what you think of my bow. I'm so proud of how it turned out. It actually looked good. And last but not least, DIY number 3. This project was inspired by Life with Lizette. She made this adorable countertop ladder, and I just had to make one for myself. I loved it so much. I cut down some wood sticks. I guess that's what you would call them. They were in my wood pile, and I thought they would work perfectly. I cut the 2 side pieces at 15 inches and the 3 rungs in the middle at 6 inches. Sorry, but I forgot to hit record on the camera for the first 2 rungs of the ladder. I looked up at the camera before I started the 3rd and hit record. I didn't use any glue. I found these long screws in some of my husband's stuff and used 6 of them to put the ladder together. I came down about 1.5 inches from the top of the ladder to place the first rung. I drilled a pilot hole through the side piece and the middle piece so the wood wouldn't split, and then used the screws to screw them in. Once I had the ladder put together, I put some water in a bowl and added Waverly ink chalk paint and mixed it well. I stained the entire ladder with this mixture. I simply painted it on and then rubbed it off with a couple of baby wipes. If you like the videos I make, consider buying me a coffee. This will help me continue putting out DIY videos for you. All the information is in the description below. Once the paint had dried, I painted the entire ladder with Waverly plaster chalk paint. I did what I call a messy paint job because I knew I was going to be distressing it. Once I had the first side painted, I dried it with my hot air gun. I held the gun close to the paint so it would get a bubbling and cracking effect. I wanted the ladder to look like something that would have came out of my great-grandmother's farmhouse. Old, rustic, used, and worn. I did the same thing on the other sides of the little ladder. I had seen another crafter use a Dollar Tree emery board to distress some of her projects and thought I'd give it a try. It worked great, but I think I'll be using it on much smaller projects than this. I think my sanding block would have been a lot faster. Once I was finished, I cleaned the ladder with some water and paper towels to remove all the dust and stuff. And just look at how cute this little ladder is. I have been wanting to do this for quite a while and have been rather intimidated by it. I'm not sure why. I thought it would have been a lot harder than it actually was. If you haven't already, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. I upload weekly home decor DIY videos, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. So go ahead and hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Until next time, happy crafting!